Welcome to Roots and Branches of Lehi, the podcast where we get to know the faces, stories, and lives that make up our community. I'm Ryan Harding, and I started this podcast as a way for us all to connect with the people we live alongside. Growing up in a small town, I learned that connections go beyond blood. They're built through shared experiences, friendships, and the moments we celebrate together. Each week, we'll sit down with someone new from Lehi to share their unique story, their passions, and what they love most about living here. So whether you've been here for years or just arrived, join us as we deepen our roots and reach out to our branches one story at a time. Welcome, Gig Griffith, to Roots and Branches of Lehi. We get to know you a little bit better, so thanks for coming on. Appreciate you.
Very happy to be here. I'm honored.
Yeah, even before we got started, one of your past students was here working for me, and I could tell, very happy to see you. So obviously you've made an impact on people in this world, at least in this community, right?
There's so many good students. It's wonderful to run into them.
Yeah.
And many of them will recognize my wife, Susan,
Sure.
someplace.
Yeah.
And they'll come up and go, "You're Susan." And it jumps her.
Sure.
She's like, "What do you say about me?" I'm like, all good things.
Yes.
But
yes.
I actually give them extra credit if they see her somewhere.
Sure.
So they kind of look for her.
I like that. So let's get to know you a little bit better here. A lot of people may have seen you around. Obviously, students will know you, but maybe they don't know you very well. So let's kind of start at the beginning here a little bit. Originally from where?
Grew up in Irvine, California.
Okay.
Born in New Mexico, but Irvine, I'd say, is home.
Okay.
Number one question I get is, Gig, is that your real name? Did your parents like you? And my mom's name's Bunky.
Okay.
And we just have unusual names.
Okay.
And if you can get through elementary school, where everything rhymes with every name,
Yes.
then it works out pretty well. And they may not remember Gig, but they'll remember something short, funny, and
Sure.
It's been an opener.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay. So why the unusual names? Was mom or dad, or what
probably my mom,
Okay.
like a yellow personality where it's fun and exciting and try new things.
Yeah.
And Susan and I have 5 kids, and there's a Daria and a Katney, and at that time unusual was Kyler. Now
Sure.
there's a lot of those.
Sure.
And one of them got Bunky.
Okay.
So the unusual names have been there.
Yeah. Okay. And so California, what was it like growing up there? What did your family do for work? And give me some of that background.
My dad was a contractor, construction-minded, and moved to California during the building of the 70s, late 60s. And part of his building was also sales, traveled a lot. 2 people knocked on the door and said, "Hey, we have this great plan for families, and if you stick close to your family," and my mom loved it, but she also wanted him to stop traveling.
Okay.
And he moved a job from sales into insurance.
Okay.
And my mom cried, going, "You're going to be in the mall. You're going to be in a little box. You're going to try to tell people." He knew construction, he knew insurance, and he built a great book of business with property and casualty and construction, and insured all the freeway contractors in California, and Irvine, where we grew up, was very nice. It had bike lanes and manicured. It was almost living in a bubble.
Sure.
But at the same time, it reminds me a lot of right here in North Utah County.
Yeah.
And I think everyone grows up where I can't wait to get through school and go somewhere else.
Sure.
That's natural.
Yeah.
Give it a couple of years, you'll realize this is the best place.
Yeah.
And you'll love coming back.
Good. So what eventually took you away from California then?
Let's see. My dad really suggested that we pursue business as a career.
Okay.
For the reason because we like sports. We like Little League. We played, and when you have a career that lets you take time off in the afternoon or go to school plays with your kids, have family vacations, and so I really didn't know any detail other than I'll do business.
Okay.
I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Alaska. Gave me 2 years to think about it. Came back, had a scholarship at BYU for 3 years, undeclared major.
Oh, okay.
Ballroom dance, construction management, photography. I was a photographer for the Daily Universe and for several things. I put on big slideshows in the Marriott Center when there would be orientations. And all along going, okay, business is out there.
Yeah.
What degree could I get into? Accounting is the hardest. So I'll aim for that, and if I don't have the grades, then I'll find something. I ended up having the grades and went into accounting, got a master's, became a CPA with Ernst Young, went back to California, Orange County, and worked there. It was a great start.
Okay. How long did you live in California then, back working for Ernst Young?
My wife is an attorney, and she was a practicing attorney when we met. So here she is, about to be the managing attorney for Utah Legal Services in Provo for Utah County, and I'm an undeclared freshman at BYU.
Sure, yeah.
And she said I taught her how to have fun. I married way up. She was wonderful. It was a hard move because with a law degree, you're bar certified by state. And I was not able to place with a Big Six at that time accounting firm or other places in Utah. And California said, we'll pay you to move here. And so it was a big risk for her. So she stopped for a couple of years. We lived in Laguna Beach. And then BYU called her 2 years later and said, what would you like to do for the law school? Anything. Write your program. And it brought us back to Utah. And I transferred with Ernst Young to Salt Lake for a while. And Salt Lake office had WordPerfect and Novell as some of its clients. I was on those audits. When they merged, they called me up and brought me into Novell. So Novell was, after Ernst Young, Novell was one of my first big work for about 8 years. Became a manager in its service organization. We rather than necessary evil, we made service one of the profit centers for Novell, benefiting clients and promoting the product, and a really good product at that.
Love that. So largely been back in Utah then for a while then. For most. So your family, you raised most of those kids here?
All but one of our children born at Utah Valley Regional Medical Center, either when we lived in Provo or Lehi.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And so your wife must be pretty important then for the law school to be like, hey, we want you. Come do anything here. We want you back here, right?
They wanted to increase their accreditation.
Yeah.
Right now they're a top 50 law school, which is really hard because they got a 200-year late start compared to
some of those bigger schools.
She built a clinic program where law students actually worked for attorneys and judges and clients. They couldn't sign things in court, but they got real experience. She did that through family law. She's a domestic violence intervention and law classes. She's executive director of a nonprofit called Timpanogos Legal Center. And it started with her. Now there's 10 full-time employees, and last year they did 10,000 cases. And individuals of all walks and languages that needed help in Utah to get through the legal process. That if you can afford an attorney, great, they walk you through it. But if not, how do you handle a custody? How do you handle an adoption? How do you handle things like that? So she'll play with a future question you have here in a moment when it comes to what I'm doing now.
Let's transition there. So how long were you a CPA? How long doing that accounting?
About 12 years. And loved it. The last part, Novell moved its headquarters from Utah to Massachusetts. So I had to commute. Every Sunday night, I flew out on Delta and got the hotel knew me by first name in Waltham, Massachusetts, and I'd fly back on Friday afternoon, take all the kids away from her, and do something fun with them. Give her a moment. Coach Lehi Tigers travel baseball for Rocky Mountain League on Saturday morning, and then take her out Saturday night and church on Sunday and rinse and repeat.
And then do it again.
But
how long was that for?
That was for 2 years. And it was a great investment. They paid really well. They did a contract arrangement with me at that time. And it was while doing that, Susan asked me, when are you going to enjoy Mondays as much as you enjoy Fridays?
Sure.
And that's like asking me when am I going to stop enjoying ice cream?
Sure.
And I laughed. I said, you mean change careers? Like, I'll teach high school history and coach baseball?
Yeah.
And I was the only one laughing.
Yeah.
Within a couple of weeks, I learned that at BYU, you can get 2 degrees. I had them. So I knocked on the door of Utah Valley UVSC before UV. Just golden. It is the best education program, and I love the other schools. I take my students now to all of them for competitions. Yeah. Utah State is a student school. BYU opens doors. U of U, incomparable medical, and they're building an entrepreneurship program. But anyways, UVU has an education program that every class you're doing an internship in. So I went to 12, 13 different schools and taught for a couple of weeks or so during my program. I was able to get permission to do 26 credit hours a semester and got through a 4-year degree in 2 years and loved it. Now, there was a family meeting too. Yeah. You know, we're used to a lifestyle in the accounting and Fortune 500 company had for us.
Sure.
But that transition was right when my oldest daughter was about to go into high school.
Okay.
And did student teaching at Lehi Junior High. Alan Wofford was my mentor there. Okay. Great person. And then interviewed really just at American Fork and Lehi. And Lehi really wanted me. Yeah. And it was financial literacy. It was a social studies general. Yeah. But within 2 years, I coached tennis, was the sole advisor for student council. I like to call it a student service association. Yeah. We modeled after BYU, BYUSA. I was an officer there when, and I felt that this is a great opportunity. So that transition happened. I am lucky to say for 15 years, every day was take your kid to work day. Yeah. Because they all went through Lehi or Skyridge, and they weren't afraid to be in my classes. Yeah. I coached some of them. Yeah. They all had opportunities in student council. Yeah. My son applied for 2 years before he made it on. Okay. And I got all sorts, or he did. Gee, your dad's the advisor, you're going to be on. I set the organization so that the students learned how to serve, make decisions, and they made decisions. And sometimes they weren't like having my son on council. Sure. Not the same decision I'd make. Sure. But I supported him. Yeah. And he did make it his senior year for senior class president. And that was great to have him. But
it wasn't something you had anything to do with. You're kind of hands off on some of those things.
It came through. Yeah. And I felt that to have the trust of the students and the students' parents, you have to set the organization and how it's going to function and live by it. Yeah. So, neat things.
So, okay. And so you taught, what classes did you teach then at the high school level and stuff?
My first year, I was on a projector cart. Okay. So I taught in different rooms.
Oh, okay.
3 different rooms, a traveling show. I like to pretend that I was doing edutainment. Okay. And not afraid to get the students to interact, not afraid to stand on a table and do things that make each class memorable, something that they're watching, which is a little hard to do when it's not your own room. Sure. But I was in the foods room, I was in the sewing room, different places, and made it work.
So the same class, or you'd come into different classes?
Financial literacy. It was the very first year the state decided they didn't want to be 49th in the country on financial understanding and personal bankruptcies in a bad way when I say 49th. Yeah. Interesting, that program in the state, financial literacy, Utah is in the top 5 and has been for 5 or 6 years in financial understanding and decrease of personal bankruptcies and such. So that required class is really envious when I travel to other states and talk about what we're doing. Yeah. There's a national test that I gave a couple of my students this last year just to have them try it.
Sure.
Saying this is what national is hoping students would know. And they had a certificate and all this presentation if you got 80% on it. And these 4 random students I had take it all got in the 90s.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And it just, now I'm very much a proponent that you if you want to learn the class, you need to learn in person.
Yeah.
If you want to get credit, you can do it online.
Yeah.
But that in person, so that you're touching a tax form, so that you're building your own budget, realizing the numbers don't add up, I got to change something.
Sure.
Your muscle memory, your hand to brain. For all my leadership classes, I expect them to have calendars and planners, and they can put it in their phone also if they want. That will let them remember 80% of their appointments.
Sure.
But if they want to remember 97% of them, they'll write it down.
Sure.
And neat experiences.
So you said 49th in the nation. So that was as far as the program itself, and it changed to 5th. So it's 49th, like we just weren't as a,
we
as
were
a state
ranked,
not doing well financially.
No offense, Arkansas.
Okay.
Arkansas had the most personal bankruptcies, and then Utah was second.
Okay.
And that was around 2005-ish.
And so then has that changed to
Yes.
Go ahead.
We're now, I don't know if we're 1, 2, or 3, but we're that high in not having personal bankruptcies, not having extended credit or debt. The factors that something like a Forbes or an Inc. or a Newsweek would look at to say how healthy is the financial people of this location.
And you think, how big of a role does that teaching that in high school play into that?
It has learning curve.
Sure.
Very hard, I felt, to teach a student budgeting and job skills when they're a sophomore and they can't drive and don't work.
Yeah.
Now, at least at Sky Ridge, you take it as a junior.
Okay.
And so you're now starting to touch and,
it's more
have
real
more
to them, I
contacts.
guess. Yeah.
You're just ahead of the interviewing cycle for scholarships in college and technical training.
Yeah.
And so I love the class. I think I teach it different than anyone else. You have strands and standards. You have a state test, and that's very important. We keep on that.
Yeah.
But I will have the students actually do job interviews, not just talk about it.
Yeah.
I will bring between 12 and 20 outside professionals like yourself.
Yeah.
Come over for 3 hours to Skyridge, or started this at Lehi High School. Set you up in a counselor office with one other person, and we bring in students, and they're to dress up. They're to have 3 copies of their resume. They're to know problem, action, result, so that they can give you a real case of what their value and how they've solved a problem.
Sure.
There's a little rubric. If the student doesn't ask you a question at the end, they lose points.
Okay.
Because the question shows interest. It shows research. It shows intent.
Yeah.
And some of these students are just as nervous as could be.
Sure.
And I'd rather have them have that at school, so when they do want to interview to be a lab tech or work at IFA or something, they've got experience.
There's a lot of truth to that. I think a lot of nervousness comes because we haven't done it before. So it's not that there's a lot of things in life that aren't hard, right, necessarily, but they're super scary because we haven't done them.
Yeah.
Once you do them once, all of a sudden it's like, oh, that wasn't that bad. But that first time is super hard. And so I love that you're doing hands-on learning in that regard, because again, then you're giving them experience. And that's why, like with my own kids, I always say, I'd rather have you fail in the home, because the consequences are not that bad in the home, right? If we talk about credit card, for example, if you have a credit card and you max it out to $500, that's not as bad as once you're on your own and you have $10,000. You know what I mean? The consequences are much greater at a $10,000 limit than a $500 limit, right? And I think that principle applies to lots of things in the home. The more failure you can have in the home, I think the better, frankly.
And the best feeling in the world, you have a kid that, I'm bad on names. Maybe I don't remember them, but they come up, Mr. Griffith, I got the job. I remembered what we did in class, and I interviewed at Jiffy Lube.
Yeah, sure.
And they hired me.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're so excited.
Yes.
And that's just golden.
Yes. No, I love that. I love that you're doing... let's speak to that for a second, too, because a lot of education is theoretical, right? Hey, we're learning, theories and different things like that. Why? It sounds like you've taken a different approach with really more hands-on and stuff like that, right? And why is that important?
Because we have problems.
Sure.
And to me, education is the problem solver.
Okay.
So on a personal finance, you have a problem, maybe you don't have a job, and you want to be in the short stack of resumes so you get an interview.
Yeah.
Then you want to keep that job, okay? What skills do you learn to organize and be responsible and add value?
Yeah.
And so that class sets up wonderfully with risk management and budget and such as that. But even a class I'm teaching U.S. wars right now, there's problem solving there.
Yeah.
I may not be training a student to handle a Gulf crisis,
Sure.
but some of the same principles can be had when they're having problems with their friend group,
Sure.
or they didn't make the team or the play they auditioned for. And each class, whether it's business, social studies, I feel every teacher is an English teacher. And beginning last year, I think every teacher is a math teacher. And I'm giving all my students math tests on the first day of class.
Sure.
Because the thought process in their head is going to be a problem-solving skill. It's not the answer as important as, are you thinking outside your device?
Yeah.
Are you processing in your head? Education as a problem solver makes life easier.
Yeah.
When I teach government, thing I share often with the students is, I'm not teaching you how to vote.
Sure.
I'm not teaching you your politics, but I'm teaching you how important it is to have them, how important it is to follow and care, because you outnumber me 40-1 when it comes to voting.
Sure.
In that class, that moment.
Sure.
And so I want you to be educated
Yes.
in how to do that.
Yes.
And make good decisions, because I have to follow what you tell me to.
Sure.
You're making the laws.
Yeah.
And every class, whether it's economics or hospitality, travel, tourism, or one of my favorite, human geography, AP Human Geography. I taught that most years at Lehi, a few at Skyridge until they want it now in the 9th grade. And the human geography is just why people live where they live.
Okay.
And that is culture, it's economics, it's religion, it's these factors that if you learn to understand other people, then you learn to understand yourself, that sociological connection. And so every class is a problem-solving class.
Yeah.
And I love that about education.
I love that. Thank you. How do you think your career, obviously you did that for a long time, being a CPA, going off to Massachusetts, all that kind of stuff. And there was that switch, and you get to be the take your kid to work thing, right? But do you think you could have just done that from day one when in your 20s, started at the school and stuff like that? Or I guess, how did that background of being in the professional world prepare you for the job that you have?
You're interviewing me here, so my answer is going to seem ironic.
Okay.
It humbled me.
Okay. Okay.
I learned in the business world what I don't know and what I have to work hard to find out.
Okay.
And I think if I had started teaching right away, I would have been in a subject and felt, because I've researched it so well, because I've trained it so well, that I know the answers there. And I'm not messaging any other teacher with this. I'm saying for me, I might have been more cocky about, I'm going to teach U.S. history because I know it, because I've read more books and seen more videos than anyone else. The business world taught me that nobody knows it all. Yeah. And there's always more right answers out there. And I don't think I've ever taught the same class the same way twice. Yeah. They call them a prep when you have a subject matter that you teach. Yeah. So this school year I have 9 preps.
Okay.
The only one I teach consistently is financial literacy.
Okay.
But I have a lot of classes that I teach one time, accounting 1 with Utah State. Hospitality management, I teach once with UVU. I have 5 concurrent enrollment subjects. But I'm no sooner giving a lesson on restaurant management front end for hospitality than I realize there's a lot I don't know.
Yeah.
What if the students had asked this question? How is AI influencing this future? And so I'm very honest with the students that this is what I know, this is what I'm learning, and this is what I will have to learn eventually. Part of the way I do that is I bring in a lot of guest speakers. Okay. My business management class will have as many as 11 guest speakers in a semester. Wow. Which could be a cop-out.
Sure.
Gee, I'm not having to teach because
Sure.
I have Mike Sharp coming in from Verticrete. Yeah. But the students, and I expect better behavior than if I was in front of them. Yeah. Before cell phones were a don't bring or don't have on, it was be there philosophy. Mm-hmm. You're in class, be in class when you drive. When you're listening to your girlfriend rant, you're listening to your girlfriend rant. Sure. Anyways, and so they would listen, and they were graded on the questions they asked. And students would get more points than a test for a single guest speaker. But their questions had to show listening, intelligent, a reflection of what's going on. Yeah. And if nothing else, I'm hoping I'm teaching students how to hear and learn from other people. Because it's going to be their boss someday, or it's going to be a coach or a leader or director. And they love it. They love guest speaker days. Yeah. They want them all. Yeah. But they will see real world. Sure. And I'm really lucky. I have about 50 different guest speakers between neighborhood and careers that come in. This morning, Dusty Pine over the Chick-fil-A La Pointe in Lehi or AF location. Yeah. When am I coming back to your class? Yeah. And I'm like, I'm trying not to bother you too much. Would love to have you for FBLA. Love to have you with these students. Yeah. And he's hired several of them. Sure, I bet. They make connections that way.
What's some of the takeaways the kids give you from those? So you said they like it. Oh. What specifically do they like? Or what's the feedback you're getting from students when somebody comes in?
They often, in the years, I'm starting to see the same questions, but I still know they're valuable. Reflection about what class should I take in high school? Does it matter what my major is in college? What did you learn from your biggest failure? Yeah. And the students take away, whether it's a business speaker or a lawyer for my business law class or something like that, they start to see themselves that they could do that someday. Yeah. There's a lot of schooling experience, but they're human. Yeah. And they care about their kids' junior jazz schedule as much as, the next person. Sure. And all the guest speakers have been great. Hey, here's my card or phone number or social, and ask me questions you want. And some of the students will reach out. But one of my favorite is my daughter-in-law. Okay. She has a business called Gig Griffith Photography, Gig Griffith Photo. Yeah. Utah Valley Magazine, all sorts of things have picked her up without her trying. Sure. She just has a relationship with clients that she has generated. She comes to talk to one of my business classes, and she's not a photo major. Elementary ed is what she studied, and she didn't take pictures till after college. Yeah. And this is what I would want in a picture. This is what I'd want in a relationship. And she did freebies, and she did friends, and she built up to now she's almost 2 years out if you want to schedule a wedding with her. Wow. In multiple countries and so forth. But she's, 12 29.
Yeah.
And the students see themselves of, oh, I could start this business on fence painting, or I could start this one on, it seems like the popular student business is salt delivery.
Okay.
Anyways, they see that.
Yeah.
And she will go, yeah, this is good and bad about Amazon for product delivery.
Yeah.
This is good and bad about Insta and Pinterest and how you promote and what's on your website and what they see. And she can talk to them just eye to eye, and they love seeing that. I bring on a Chevron retired CEO that has its purpose.
Yeah.
But when they get someone that she just comes in and show them websites and things, and let's talk about what they see out there and what they would scroll and what's on Reels. That's nice.
Yeah, and maybe that's because she's the entrepreneur, right? You know, she's doing this kind of stuff, and so they see where they could go. And then you brought up the CEO. My guess is you have enough variety of people in there that everybody can relate in some ways to maybe a future job that they're wanting. And so they're able to see themselves in that person that's right. And I like, too, that it probably takes some of the pressure off, too, where, hey, I don't have to have my life figured out in high school, right? You said she didn't even take pictures, didn't do it. She had a different plan there. And so I think sometimes I see this with sports, right? Hey, you got to start at super young if you want to be a star athlete and whatever. And that there may be some truth to that. But also I think sometimes it's just developing muscles. It's just developing skills to do some of these things that you don't necessarily have to have that all figured out right away. And so maybe there's too much pressure sometimes on that. Not that we want kids to be lazy. Hey, be actively engaged in doing stuff, right? But you don't have to have it all figured out right away. I don't know.
There's some comfort there.
Yeah.
My favorite is to have female entrepreneur, women-owned business, something like that. I promote, invest in girls. For a while, they had Women in the Law Day at BYU, and I remember at Lehi High School taking a class there on a Saturday to Women in the Law.
Sure.
And I'm sitting with my students, and I notice in the entire moot court room, I'm the only guy in the building.
Sure. Okay.
And it is so important for all students, all walks, to see what they can do and what's open for them.
Yeah, I love that. So that's not all you do at Sky Ridge, right? You're also doing the announcing there and stuff like that. Or talk to me about that. Tell me your role there.
It's Kevin Henshaw, who titled me as the voice of the Falcons.
Yes, okay, there we go.
And before that, actually at Lehi, I volunteered with the wrestling program to announce their wrestling, because I brought some student council members to a match, and not a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I thought, gee, announcing a sport, and I know a lot of them, could also let me announce what student council events are happening.
Sure.
Okay, there's this lunch and learn, there's talent show auditions, we're bringing Eagle Crest students or Meadow Elementary students to do this. Yeah. I could promote and plug those things, and so I volunteered for years as announcer for like JV and sophomore football, wrestling, baseball, some of those. And then Kevin Henshaw, about the fourth year into Sky Ridge, Brian Kane retired. Fantastic walk-on-water person. Yeah. Love him. He's great. And I would do score clock, or I would do the JV game. He'd do the varsity, and then it moved me into that role. Between tournaments and just for kids volleyball, which is a nonprofit, some things like that, I'll do about 75 games a year.
Wow.
Tonight, our girls volleyball versus West, I believe. Anyways, it's fun. Yeah. I talk too much. You're probably getting this already in this.
Not at all.
But my goal is to say student names so that grandma gets to hear their little Johnny or Sally, was in the big time, in the stadium, on the mat, something like that. Yeah. And so I try in football to announce blockers, special team play.
Yeah, good.
And to be honest, sometimes that kid wasn't on the right side of the field.
Sure.
Because I have only so many eyes.
Yeah.
And on a sophomore game, I do it myself. I do the music and the spotting and the announcing.
Yeah.
I have help for varsity.
Yeah.
My son comes in and does that for me.
Nice.
And spotting. But at a sophomore level, I did sophomore basketball for a long time for Jesse Lewis. It may be the last time they're playing on the court, and wouldn't it be neat to have that, if not under the lights, at least their names being announced, and there's music and an anthem, and it's here are the starters.
Yeah.
I love giving that to the environment, and I kind of know what else is out there, so I might not have a group tell me that marching band is going to California next week.
Sure.
I'll just pick it up and know it, and give a shout out to Howard Summers and wish the Pride of Aspen Peaks good luck in their adventure next weekend. And their Plantasia is their theme this year.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
But I enjoy learning the other parts of the school and community. It could be a blood drive. It could be something else that's maybe not of the school.
Yeah.
But I like to be able to tell people, make them aware of all the good opportunities that are around us.
Yeah.
And people, celebrate people that accomplish things, and shout out to Aaron Anderson, Teacher of the Year, and say some things like that. So I don't have much of a script.
Yeah.
Sometimes zero.
Yeah.
I have a lineup.
Yeah.
And I try to make it informative and interesting, exciting. Music, top 40. Very careful on music.
Yeah.
Because students, coaches, hey, here's our playlist.
Yeah.
And it might not have explicit, but what's the content? What's the message of the song?
Sure, sure.
And so I'll only buy songs after I know, okay, if I walked away, it could play the next song. It could play this one in a audience setting.
Yeah.
But there's tons of great music, and there's a way to get people into a game. Yeah. I often say when it's quiet, the library called, they want silence back.
Sure. Sure.
And boom, let's jump into something that their hands up in the air, or their hand clapping or something.
Yeah. I love that your son helps you too for some of those things. So
yes.
It's still, so you're still, if you go back to probably your original goal and not traveling to Massachusetts all the time was to be more around your family. And it sounds like that's stayed with you even long past the high school teaching days.
And the experience that they got, my son Kyler, who I'm mentioning right now, he and I also got to coach freshman baseball at Skyridge together.
Yeah, nice.
That was a dream. Coach Roberts let us do that.
Yeah.
And he's amazing. But I also have a daughter who's equity stage manager back in New York City. She's at Columbia. And she got her start doing sound and lights with student council at Lehi High School for an assembly, for a back-to-school night, for a video on the side of the Mauer Tower for a drive-in movie. Don't know if they call it the Mauer Tower or not, but it was the add-on to Lehi about 12 years ago. Anyways, and whether it's acting or theater or psychology, the different things my daughters have done as well, they got that high school experience. I loved student council. Right now, I've got more than 100 kids in FBLA and DECA.
Okay.
And so that's where I'm living today.
Sure.
But for 15 years, and let's see, what was it? 10 of those at Lehi. It was a service association. Yeah. Wasn't looking for any student to put something on the resume. Yeah. Wasn't looking for them of, hey, I've got the sweater, I'm the cool kid. Yeah. It was all about, what are you going to do for other people? What are you going to do for the kids that aren't comfortable at school, or are hungry, or sing really well in the shower? Sure. But would like another venue. Yeah. And those students, I really drilled hard to get good vision-setting presidency members. But then they did the interview and the selection and the appointments of the other 35 to 40 students. And then they put on probably 60 events a year, wanted everyone to be in charge of several times and then delegate.
Yeah.
We'd have football players and professional dancers, and we would work around their schedule because they had a talent that would be really good with the life skills class or something.
Yeah.
And so those students worked really hard.
Yeah.
In fact, I should be blamed for working them too hard,
Sure.
maybe too many hours. I told them that they can sleep in May.
That's right.
Or June rather, not May, not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
And those students became Sterling Scholars. They, year after year, ambassador at Utah State, scholarships at all the schools. They learned how to serve. They learned that how the other person feels welcome into a school, an organization, a class is more important than anything else.
Yeah.
And still in touch. I'm going to 2 weddings this coming weekend from student council members.
Oh, wow.
A few of them married each other.
That's awesome.
And that was great. Now they're all having kids. Just priceless. They taught me so much in their adapting to hard circumstances.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would have that unless there was the opportunity and the expectation that they would work hard.
Sure.
And they would do more than they thought they
That
could.
they could do, sure, yeah.
And that's a golden time.
So, obviously you've dealt with teenagers now for a long time. What do you think adults should know that you've learned about teenagers? As far as just all this time with them, what knowledge would help adults obviously be able to do some of the things that you've been able to do, but what do you think we need to know?
Wow, that's a good question. I thought I expected every question. That one is so good. Let me start with, I would counsel adults, parents, trust the student until you can't.
Okay.
Often it's let the beatings begin at the beginning.
Yeah.
But yes, they're going to want to use their phone because their heart pumps blood.
Sure.
But lay out what you expect that they're doing with their hands, okay, and their mind, and then trust them to do that, and then only if they can't do that or have problems or need reminders, step in. I think we see so much of what we expect with teenagers, we start with crowd control.
Okay.
Rather than, okay, if you interviewed and you picked well or you auditioned well, now trust them to do what you thought. Just last week, we finished up our interviews for FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, President in parentheses, and DECA, the Marketing Club. And each of these have 3 interviews, beginning through observation, and then in June and in August. But now I'm very comfortable. Those 2 presidents are working with a handful of other students to create a calendar and a competition schedule and a registration and service experience for FBLA. Currently has 65 members. Yeah. We started with 12, and it's grown. And DECA's all the apprentices graduated, so it's a fresh start. And I trust this new student president that may not do everything I would.
Sure.
But I was looking for, we listen to advice. We may not agree to use the advice I give.
Sure.
But listen,
and closed off.
And they have.
Yeah.
And they each have a deadline of tomorrow to give me a calendar, and so that I can help them make the things happen they want.
Yeah.
But so to adults, work on the front part of the relationship. If it's your own son or daughter, hey, when have they succeeded for you before? What have they done? The gas tank wasn't empty when they brought the car home. Okay,
Sure.
There's good things out there.
Yeah.
So emphasize and believe that's what they're going to do the next time.
Yeah.
And I mentioned be there as a philosophy.
Yeah.
I think our students, our teenagers need that reminder a lot.
Yeah.
To wherever you are, there.
Yeah.
Because the reels and social media, you've got about a 7-second attention span.
Totally.
And what I tell the students, I don't know if this is right or not,
Yeah.
but they've believed me.
Yeah.
The students that learn how to read in high school and will read, that means the instructions or something, they're going to be the ones with the full-time pension, salary, jobs of the future. Those that aren't willing to will work for them. Now, if you want to be the boss, you're going to read and you're going to learn how to speak in public. Yeah. And look adults and others and customers in the eye and talk to them. Those are going to be the ones who own the companies of the future. And so reading just, and I'm dyslexic. I didn't learn that till I had kids and they were diagnosed. I've got ADHD, and Susan says those are my superpowers. I see things in 3D. I have 5 conversations in my head at the same time. Yeah. I'm always counting. I thought everyone did that. I thought everyone has a song in their head and they're counting at the same time. Yeah. And I spell a 3rd grader.
Sure.
But I learned to just write the words I know how to spell. Yeah. And I actually was a valedictorian in high school. Awesome. That little plan worked really well. Don't ever ask me to spell entrepreneur. I still don't know how to spell it. It starts with an E, and I slur the letters on the board. Yeah. But I can write risk taker. Sure. I can write startup. Yeah. I can write other words. So I hope I give hope to students that even if they're struggling reading or writing, that don't give up on that process. Yeah. Learn to do some math in your head. And also realize that there's more than one solution to a problem. Yeah. Compromise. When I teach a government or a social studies class, that compromise is the art we need to bring back in our world. And it doesn't mean you failed, doesn't mean you lost, but it means you can move on. And hopefully some of that is good. And if it's really good, people will want more of that good part. Yeah. But they'll see none of it if the compromise isn't worked out.
No, I love that. We do need more compromise. I think it's seen as a failure, but it's actually a success, I think. Because, it's easy for people to just dig in their heels on either side, right?
You have to trust the system and trust that there's good people.
Yeah, that think differently than you, right? Stuff. So.
Founding fathers had to go to lunch with everybody right after they argued. Yeah. Federalist Papers. Yeah. Okay. Fast forward 200 years, okay, they still flew to Washington, D.C. and stayed several nights and went to the press or the pubs or someplace together. Sure. But it's been in our last couple of decades where I'm zooming in, I'm flying home, and I think the name calling happens because they don't know the people they're working with.
Sure, they're not going to lunch with them.
It's purely a vote or a color. And I'm lucky. At high school, the kids are by each other. Yeah. I've been asked about teaching in private or charter schools or something like that. What I love about public school is I'll have a kid whose parents own Adobe sitting right next to another kid whose family lives in a station wagon. Sure. And they're there working together on a project, listening, hoping for the bell to ring. They're existing together. Yeah. And the more we can know people different than us and exist with them, that commonality of existence is better than any of my subjects. And a big proponent of public education. That goal isn't to make smart people, it's to teach people how to learn and grow with other people.
Well, I think you're hitting on that public education in general probably is more than just studying, right? Yeah. It's more than just the education part of it, right? There is obviously the human interaction part, right? You're dealing with other people, like you said.
Yes, you're probably saying it better than I am.
Well, no, I think you said it very well, actually. But that is part of it. I tell my kids sometimes I make more money off my social skills than I did any of my educational skills. You know what I mean? Like in school and stuff like that. And so it's some of these things that you learn dealing with other people, right? People that are different than you. And being friends with people that you wouldn't normally be friends with sometimes. Mm-hmm. Hey, we don't have the same likes and dislikes, but hey, we're in this class together. Let's get along, right? Let's kind of do this. And so I think I like that you're broadening the view of what public education is, because I think sometimes we get really hyper-focused on grades or just the education part, but there's so much more to it, I think. I think you said it very well.
The grades are the scorecard.
Correct.
But what you're going to remember is the lineup, the roster, the people that are there. Yeah. I think back in Little League, and I remember Jimmy Houghton as a player. I don't remember the score of any of the games we had.
Yeah.
But we did pretty good.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. So you're a guy that is very involved in the community. Obviously, not just your school, but as you're saying, all these different things that you're trying to do. Why is community so important to you? Why are people so important to you?
I'm happiest when I'm not asking if I'm happy.
Okay.
When I ask, is there something I could do for someone else? Then I'm happy. And so with that, in high school, volunteered in many different directions, mostly with a camera. But then into college, I was part of the United Way in some of its projects. Utah Special Olympics. In a 3-day Summer Olympics, I would have hundreds and hundreds of slides put together with a integrated music show at closing ceremonies. Yeah. So it was a nonstop around the thing, but love the feeling you get doing things that make people happy or alleviate stress or file their taxes. There's a volunteer tax association they used to be a part of. And that has just been an element of my life or my kids' life. Susan is very much just her nonprofit that she runs is a service that people could not get if it didn't exist. And so I think that's just nature. The sooner everyone wants to be happy, but are they asking what they can do for someone else, then they'll get there. Yeah. The me time or that fine, just spend that entire me time doing something for someone else.
Sure.
You'll be great.
Yes. No, I think you embody that. Obviously, that's what you've been doing, and I can tell it does make you happy.
Let me connect that to a couple of Lehi High School, Skyridge High School things.
Okay.
The blood drives, big fan of donation. Yeah. I donated a kidney 11 years ago.
Wow.
Just didn't know who it was going to. I had two, and that was one more than I needed. And Susan gets the award for that because she let me do it. Scared her to death.
Sure.
And I wouldn't have done it without her eventually saying okay.
Guess, yeah.
But my mom got cornea transplants growing up. And so it was always on my mind of, okay, of course, when you've passed away through driver's license, but is there something more? And I run a few blood drives at URP, a Red Cross, and having the students do it at Lehi High School, we do 3 a year, and that both gave opportunity for student leadership, as well as try to develop these habits when they're a teenager. Yeah. I ran into someone that remembered donating in high school, and they still do a couple times a year, decades later. And
you helped start that
yeah.
habit.
One of the things, not until you reached out to me did I remember this, but Lehi High School, the city of Lehi, approached us on a family week. I think it was in September, and they were looking for ideas, and Susan will say that I volunteer too much, that I fire ready aim. I volunteer before I know what it is they're asking for. And I got onto a committee to plan it.
Yeah.
And one of the things we did was we chose one of the day to be Grandparent Day.
Okay.
And we used Lehi High School, we used a church, and we got kids or anyone in the community together with real paper, real markers, colors, stickers, and they hand wrote letters, grandma, grandpa, pops, whatever, and addressed them, and we mailed them for them. You can't reread a phone call.
Yeah.
Can't quite say it with text messages, but the concept is and I love doing that with high school students in mind, all school age kids. that I remember walking away from that event, and that was probably like, 20 years ago, going, I want to feel like this more.
Yeah.
And currently what's going on, there's the Lehi Cares Coalition. Okay. And we have a student chapter at Skyridge of Lehi Cares. Cash Boy Fair is its president, and we have about a dozen members. And that organization is helping parents and kids talk to each other. And my approach is, it's jokes, it's recipes, it's family memories, it's vacations, it's, gee, Mom, why were you wearing that in the picture in our hallway? Yeah. And any conversation at all while kids are young, so that when they become teenagers and the parents need some advice from them, there's that conversation. Okay, yeah, the parents will probably give the advice, but they know there's a dialogue. And so Lehi Cares is about that. And there's coping strategies, and there's prevention of tobacco and alcohol. There's lots of elements to the coalition guidelines. Sure. But I love its title. I love that students can be a part of it. Last year, two high school students were chosen to be youth leaders. One of the students from a couple of years ago, Aaron Homestead, is a director of one of the Lehi Cares Coalition programs that interfaces with development and Utah Valley University, some things like that. So that's a neat progressive now going forward. And it has, I think, it's one part-time paid person. Everyone else, Lynn Meek, who you've met before, is who I learned about it. And I figured it had been on forever. I think it had been on for maybe 6 months when he told me about it. And he and Heidi are just priceless. They do so much for Lehi.
Yeah. No, I love that. You're very entrepreneurial in the nonprofits and these organizations. It sounds like you're really trying to continue to make different organizations. And I guess the benefit of that is a lot of times people want to help and do things, but I don't want to have to create something and stuff like that. So the benefit of these organizations is people are able to just plug and play it, right? Just jump in and, okay, let me do my thing I can donate X amount of hours or whatever, and kind of help, right?
And I'm aware, I'm in this demographic where, yes, there's students who are providing an income for their family, and they're not the ones that need to do Lehi Cares or a student service association. There's needs. So it's not for everyone. But we do have a lot of youth that do have the time. And maybe the parents are like, go get a job. Great, you can do both. And that's what I really like to teach students is the both.
Sure.
Your life has a dimension. Things you do on Sunday, things you do on Saturday, school week, night, your friend group, and make a slice there for service. And I use a number that some of the kids are familiar with of giving 10%. So sometimes in your life, you might have means or money, but other times maybe it's time. And successful entrepreneurs and business people, many if not all, go back to that they do find ways to give. And when you're so busy, maybe then it's money at that time.
Sure.
But right now, and the high school students are wonderful. They think they're the busiest they'll ever be in their whole entire life right now. Sure. Because they've got 3 different classes of homework that night.
Sure.
But I hope to help them realize that when you're actually doing something for others, that doesn't take time away.
Sure.
There's just a miracle that happens that you're going to be able to. If you want something done, you give it to a busy person. Yeah. Not everybody likes me saying that, but different things work for different people, and for me, that's how I've helped students and community members serve, is finding like peer leaders, and often they're pulled out of the busy group. Sure. Because they get right to task, and they've got to be organized, and they've got a timetable, and then sharing that vision and giving a chance for people to experience.
I love that. I love you're applying the tithing principle to time and resource, giving of your time and doing these things, and how you get more time, I guess you're saying. It's an interesting principle that you're saying, hey, applies It doesn't just apply to money, it applies to time too. As you give more of your time, you have more time, which doesn't actually make sense, right? It doesn't, but I believe it's true. I was looking at what you're doing. I can see that. But that doesn't make sense, right? But I suppose a lot of things in life don't always make sense, right? But they do also. You've been in education for a long time now. Tell me your thoughts on, if you were king for a day, if it was all up to you, what things would you change, or what would you like to see if you had your way in education in general?
Okay. I prepped myself for this question about 15 years ago. Again, the demographics, some students, it's all they can do is to be there late, leave early, because they're providing an income.
Yep.
They're living with a great aunt, and that's their family,
Yep.
something. But for those who can, I would require students, when they sign up for their classes, to also sign up to be in one or more clubs.
Okay.
Kids fall out of school for the same reason they fall out of bed. They're not in far enough.
Okay.
And I know I'm stealing that quote from many other sources.
I like it.
But the students that stick around because there's a purpose of the school, and doesn't have necessarily be marching band or color guard or athletics or video or esports, but some reason, stay there. I think you'll treat the school better. I think you'll appreciate the education more. I think you'll remember it more, and you'll care about it more. And so that would be my magic wand of every student's in a club. And it could be a social club. It could be a Harry Potter club.
Sure.
Sure, I would love it to be a service-minded key club,
Yeah.
or something like that. But baby steps, just being in a club,
Yeah.
being at something that, but they're not in your alphabet.
Sure.
It's so funny to see friend groups that it's Caleb Anderson and Jonathan Anderson and Marie Anderson, because since elementary school they've been sitting alphabetical order with each other, and
Sure.
they're now in high school and they're friends.
They're sure proximity.
Not related.
Yeah.
And clubs they give a service, they give a social, they give this is a good place to be at school,
Yeah.
because Pokemon Club. I
Sure.
advise the Pokemon Club.
Sure.
I can name a dozen characters, but they come
more than I
in
can.
every Friday to my classroom
Sure.
after school
Yeah.
for a couple of hours. Talon leads the group. They've got 4 group me's going on. They are loving life.
Yeah.
I provide some cookies now and then, and those students are taking advantage
Yeah.
of their high school years. Now, I know some students, associate's degree, I'm going to get education compacted now,
Yeah.
and I'm going to get job skills, and I can go right in high school. And that is normal. I grew up abnormally. I started on that, and I had a job, paper route, making pizzas at a place, and then my parents said, we're going to pay you to stop that. We will give you a living allowance if you will just do your school thing. That's when I was president of 5 clubs and photo editor and volunteered on things, because I was lucky enough not to have to work some of those hours. But so not everyone has that.
Sure.
But I do think there's ways to squeeze in for a club that meets during the school day.
Sure.
For some reason. And that could really, really benefit the school and administration and everybody.
Yeah. Love that. Gig, this has been great. You're doing a lot of good in the community, and you've done a lot of good, and I can see many more years still ahead of you. So
Thanks.
Is there anything we haven't covered that you wanted to talk about before we kind of conclude here?
One of your questions was what was different about Lehi when I first joined
Yeah.
Lehi High School.
Yeah.
I love that students could play multiple sports,
Okay.
or they could be on the football team and still do the spring play.
Yeah.
It's really hard in our competitive world to not have a coach that says you're doing basketball and you're doing bantam league and it's year round,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yes. Whatever the sports. Yeah.
And for most sports, at Lehi and at Skyridge now, there's that opportunity where the girls soccer player also is then, I pick volleyball, I pick which season, they definitely track.
Yeah.
But they could play soccer and they could play basketball and be on track. They could be in Skills USA or FFA and the other things.
So even those are at the same time. Is that what you're saying? Like that?
The sports, they have seasons. So that has to be respected.
Sure.
But just the opportunity for students to grow and have those multiple experiences. Thing I like about FBLA and DECA right now is we go to UVU 4 different times, and Snow College and BYU, and they get to see places, competitions, other students, and they're making memories. I feel that if you and I were trapped in an elevator and we didn't know each other, within 1 or 2 comments, whatever we talked about, where are you going, why are you locked out, is that whatever, will lead to where you grew up, which will lead to what you did in high school.
Sure.
And so I hope that students can get just as much as they can. Is it the best time of their life? It depends. Yeah. Some people peak out at junior high.
Yeah.
Some in high school, and I've seen lots of students that I'm like, just trust me, when you get to college,
it's going to be better.
When you get to college, you're going to be able to do I know parents, I know school, I know police. There's requirements you got to do right now.
Yes.
But when you get to college and you have a chance, you're going to love your opportunity. Yeah. And maybe for some it's in the work world or the family world.
Sure.
And oh my goodness, you're blessed if you get to hit it on all cylinders. Yeah. But that high school experience often is what draws our society together. Yeah. And I want all students to have something good in that time.
Yeah, love that. Anything else?
That was on my mind.
Perfect. Gig, I love this. I really do appreciate all you're doing for students and again, just the community in general. I think it's very inspiring to see, okay, hey, yeah, I could do some of these things, right? Maybe I could, here's a need I can fill and try to do that or whatever. I think there's a lot of good people. I know there's a lot of good people here in Lehi that are wanting to do good things. And I think you're setting a good example here of, okay, hey, here's some ideas. I don't know. Here's what's going on. Even to be a guest lecturer in your class, have these business, they can reach out to you and have the comment. And maybe other teachers that are listening to this, I think probably the subjects you're teaching aren't the only subjects that you can have outside people come in and talk and stuff like that. Because again, at the end of the day, from what I understand, education is helping us all to try to get a job eventually, right? In some field to do something in this world. And so if you're studying something, have somebody come in that maybe represents that field and stuff, I think it could be good.
There are such good extended families. Your Hadfields, your Scousens, your Bethany Morgan was the first student council president I had. And she has kids, and I hope someday I get to teach them.
Yeah.
But they're Ashmans. And anyways, I'm not going to begin to mention.
Sure.
But I'm invited to a wedding for Isaac, who his family kept me updated in school and mission, and I think there's 7 siblings, and they treat me like family. And I haven't done anything for them.
Sure.
But there's just those neat people that we've got that makes it just priceless to live here.
Yeah, love that. Lehi is a great community made up of a lot of great people, including you. So thank you. I appreciate you coming on. It's been good to get to know you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on Roots and Branches of Lehi. I hope today's story helped you feel a little more connected to the people who make up our community. Remember, every person here has a unique story, and together, we're what makes Lehi feel like home. If you know someone who would be a great fit for this podcast, please fill out the form in the show notes so we can reach out and schedule an interview. We'd love to hear from you. A big thank you to our sponsors, the Work Harding Home Mortgage Team and Play Harding Nightly Vacation Rentals, for supporting this show and helping us bring our community closer together. Until next time, keep growing those roots and reaching out to your branches. Take care.